立ちを抜け。That's your samurai! Bastard samurai!地頭である志村殿の甥だ。叔父上が受けた恥、すすぎに参った。
志村から己のことは聞いておるぞ、堺人。こやつに見せてやる。己が我に蹂躙されて情けをこう姿をな。さあどうする堺人。堺人、
黙れけのめ。
やめよ、下れ。いともたやすく平和が戻ると叔父に見せてやれ。
父がいない。またしても。父上、仁、手を貸さんか。お前は死ぬのが主情のためだ。
若様、そろそろです。
ああ、今参る。
島中の者がお父上を弔いに来ております。
皆を返してくれ。
何をおっしゃいますか。若様が堺の家督なのですよ。
ああ、
お一人ではありませんよ。 お父上は風となり導いてくださり、お母上は鳥となり見守ってくださいます。
叔父上は
ご本人がお伝えくださいましょう。
助かった、ユリ。
Selfish bitch.
酒井殿の息子とあらば、お前は我が子も同然だ。
父君は何よりも民を守られた。まことのものの不よ。
すべて私のせいです。
ジン、それでも武士か。
父上は私をかばって
息子を守るため戦で死んだのだ。無念はない。それがモノノフ。これからはお前が意志を継ぐ。あやつの魂はこの太刀に宿ってる。これを父と思い。
That is correct, Narky. Yes. No, let's do switching back for 2 minutes. Okay, guys, switching for 2 minutes. Tyler. I'm just the show, right? Yeah. Current the god. This is not a current the god.
わしの砦に来る。迎え入れよ。
It is One Punch Man again. I don't know how you sniped the 2 One Punch Man. That's crazy. There's no One Punch Man. Alright, Darky.
Alright, let's do completely normal and easy questions that aren't weird at all, like not even a little bit weird. I promise they're totally normal.
Alright, welcome to Jeffrey.
Poorly translated.
Poorly translated. I pasted the Annie list description for which anime. The story turns around the mafia if the child has been distilled factory outfit. Kind of spiritual power. He survived his actions. He survived his actions.
父上、
What?
お導きください。
What is 98? What is question number 8? It's not Guardian, I guess. It's not like trying to make the plot. Only my god. Your voice actor elimination. 2 voice actor elimination. I'm going to show you 4 characters. One of them is a different VA. So the other 3 are the same. Got Shurigan's dad from Kaguya, like Risha Yeager, got Koji from JJK, and Roswell from Winter. Risha is not the same voice as him. That is correct. Alright, hit me with weird tag. Heterosexual. School for the rich elite. Slapstick. Narration. Battle of wits. Tyler. Correct. Weird tag. The real comedy. Hikomori. Here's doing 2 and 2 things. Visible aura. Color coded.
どうだった？
Tyler.
志村殿を見つけ
Fate Brilia. No.
お助けしようとしたが
Give me TQ.
あえなく
Not
ハー
TQ.
ンに
You think I put TQ as 200?
叔父上はな
Fucking
見ておろう
vampire.
あんたが無事でよかっ
I
た。
never watched this shit. We making this.
命を捨てても対馬を救うつもり
300
が
Beacon from
今や
Danganronpa.
猛虎に故郷を乗っ取られ
Demon Slayer.
味方もいなくなった
And the red blood
自
cell.
分より強いやつに負ける気持ちわかるよ。
What the fuck? That's not good.
情けないよね。
Sounds like fire. I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna go with the girl and see.
でも死んじまったら元も子もない。
Sorry, Keith.
生
What
き
is
延びるためなら何だってやらなくち
also
ゃ。
incorrect? Fuck, dude, come on.
このまま再びハーンに挑んだとしても帰り討ちに遭うのは必定 他の手立てを考えねばなるまい
Tyler has 0 points. Fire
そうして
negative
志村殿を救い
Sarky is negative
故郷を取り戻そう
だったら私が
騎兵だハーンの番犬だ
大勢で来る。まずい。隠れなきゃ。
Okay, are you good? Yeah, you good over there?
Haven't been.
Zonder schermstee.
Erin hebt dus bijna.
Oda kui uktipo no mo samurai.
あんたを探してるんだ。馬が逃げちまったじゃないか。
主の元に戻るようしつけてある
すごいな。猛虎はあんたを探してる。
お主は逃げろ俺が猛虎兵を引きつける
タカを助けるまで
So
そ
I'm
ばを離れるつ
27
もり
years
は
old.
ないよ。
Okay, come on. That's not even that. Shut up. I like watching slice of life romance anime. I always have, and I probably always will. But when I
このお
don't
二
like
人
タカだって腕はいい。あの子を助ければ島で一番の鍛冶屋が味方につくんだ。城に忍び込める道具だってつく。
High school, middle school, and I'm not even
くれるよ。
high school romance.
では壁を登れるよう
タカの腕なら朝飯前さ。
Okay, I have to.
捕まった場所は
I say this.
ケチのあたりだ。
That happened.
お主は先に行ってお後で向かおう
I don't love.
あの子は弱いから長くは持たない。
I don't think you necessarily have to relate to something.
必ず弟は助ける
I love Vinland Saga, but nothing in my life has ever really resembled that shit even a little bit. Thankfully, same goes for Attack on Titan or Tokyo Ghoul. But this also like high school experience, and probably yours too, did not look like this, or this, or this. We hit it through the equally true that as we get older, it's sketching and seeing it over can be something that we see moving up. So I'd like to think it's important to talk about show just finished hearing that barely watched adult character live real adult life and engage in an adult relationship. Just that's the whole environment. Watching, no getting lost in the storage closet, no first kiss, no school culture festival, none of that shit. We've got these 2 people here. They work in an office, they love each other, and they code. I think that's beautiful. But before I get into this one, I think it's worth noting that there's a decent number of adult romance anime out there which are ready. WaPo is one of the most popular examples, and probably the single most frequently recommended show in this genre. It's about a group of adults from all whatever's, and they like to do nerd shit on the side when they're not working. It's funny, it's charming, it's just a good time, and that's what romance is a relationship
relationships are more or less already established by the time the show starts. So instead of seeing the relationship build up and then ending the show right when the couple finally gets together like we get way too often in high school romance shows, this show gives a lot more peeks into the actual relationship itself. What daily life looks like, how the characters care for each other, and how they balance their relationship with work and hobbies. Now, another way to interpret the word adult when we're talking about adult romance shows is depression. And that's exactly what we get from shows like Nana. Not to say that there's no fun or comedy in Nana, because there absolutely is, but the overall story is a lot darker. It's way more serious. It's basically like a full-on soap opera drama series, dealing with a lot of heavy themes, of harsh realities and struggles of life, heartbreak, loss, difficulty finding a place in the world, figuring out what you want to do. You know, just a lot more realistic. And compared to a show like WaPo, the romances here are a lot messier. There's characters who get together and break up. There's cheating, there's betrayals, pregnancy scares, you know, all this scary adult shit. This isn't a Nana video, but honestly, Nana is its own kind of masterpiece, so I'd recommend it. They work in an office, but this also translates into high school rom-com. My high school experience, and probably yours too, did not look like this, or this, or this, but we can enjoy them regardless. But it's equally true that as we get older, tastes can shift, and seeing adult characters doing their boring adult things can be something that we seek out as well. So I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about a show that just finished airing that barely anybody fucking watched, with adult characters who live real adult lives and engage in an adult relationship. We're sports that's watching, getting off the story, kiss, festivals, none of that shit. We've got these two people. They love each other, and they fly. I think that's beautiful. But before I get to barely anybody with adult characters who live real adult lives and engage in an adult relationship. No sports festival, no fireworks watching, no getting locked in the storage closet, no first kiss, no school culture festival, none of that shit. We've got these two. They work in an office, and they love each other. And they don't. But before I get into this one, I think it's worth noting that there's maybe some adult romance and WaPo is one of the most popular examples and probably the single most frequently recommended show in this genre. It's about a group of adults who are all otakus, and they like to do nerd shit on the side when they're not working. It's funny, it's charming, it's just a good time. And as for the romance, the relationships are more or less already established by the time the show starts. So instead of seeing the relationship build up and then ending the show right when the couple finally gets together like we get way too often in high school romance shows, this show gives a lot more peeks into the actual relationship itself. What daily life looks like, how the characters care for each other, how they balance their relationship with work and hobbies. Now, another way to shows is depression. And that's exactly what we get from shows like this. Not to say that there's no fun or comedy in really. The overall a lot of heavy themes, harsh realities and struggles of life, heartbreak, loss, difficulty finding a place in the world, figuring out what you want to do, you know, just a lot of realism. And compared to a show like WaPo, the romances here are a lot messier. There's characters who get together and break up, there's cheating, there's betrayals, pregnancy scares, you know, all this scary adult shit. This isn't a Nana video, but honestly, Nana is its own kind of masterpiece, so I'd recommend it if you're looking for some real, deep human drama. Just a fair warning that you will absolutely be living in Spain without being in the series. I've noticed a bit of Muslim romance like shows centered as adults. The Ice Guy and his adults years ago, and the question we have been thinking about is Wedding last year are both great examples of this. Both of these are set in workplaces. There's young adults experiencing love for the first time, and both series have characters who are just dorky as shit and really lovable. They both also have gimmicks. Ice Guy is technically kind of like a fantasy series where some characters are descended from spirits and have certain kinds of magical power. The main character, the Ice Guy, is, well, he's an ice guy. Basically, his emotions are connected to his snow and ice powers, so emotions like love tend to cause snowstorms right on top of him wherever he goes. Honestly, other than that though, the show kind of just functions exactly like a normal, wholesome, slice-of-life romance show. The magic powers thing isn't really that big of a deal with the show. And then switching over to the other one, 365 Days of the Wedding, the main characters work in a Japanese travel agency, and it's been announced that there's a new branch that's opening in Alaska. And that one unmarried person will be chosen to transfer there. So to avoid getting picked, our main two idiots here pretend to be engaged to each other. And holy shit, can you believe it? They go from pretending to be in love to actually being in love. Holy shit. Revolutionary storytelling, never before seen plot point. Oh my god. Now the appeal of this show is really centered around the main two characters and how goofy and dorky they are as they try to put this scheme together. And there's also a lot of surprising moments where they dive into some more adult themes and ideas. There's a lot of thought put into the overall question of what does it mean to get married that was honestly really thought-provoking. They even give you some examples of relationships and marriages not really working out to put some nuance into the whole thing. Marriage is a really serious commitment, and they treat it like that. And plenty of the cast beyond just the main two end up exploring a lot of these ideas and hardships too. Now, I like both of these series, but honestly, they kind of also have the same issue. Yes, the characters are adults in an office environment instead of look at the way they act. Honestly, also it's a high school show, and they really set up. And that's really appreciate everything. That don't really feel like it. People will never really exactly. That shit is technically an adult how they behave. Oh my god. So maybe I'd still like to see more adult romance shows that have older characters with a more normal, healthy relationship. And that's exactly what this last show is. I have a crush on her, also known as Secret. It's an anime that just came out this year, and it's based on a manga series that I love and have been casually following for a few years now. And to summarize why I like it, this is one of the most accurate depictions of a normal, healthy, modern relationship I have ever seen in anime and manga. The story itself is pretty simple. These two, Yui and Masugu, have been working at the same company for years. They start out as these kind of workplace rivals, but as they get closer, they fall in love and decide to start dating. But the big twist, oh my god, is that they want to keep their relationship a secret. Not because the company doesn't allow it or anything, it's basically just because it's kind of annoying if your coworkers know you're dating. Which, yeah, valid. And the show basically just follows them as they live their lives, try to advance their careers at work, and explore their relationship together while also trying to hide it from others. And there's also some side characters and a side ship going on, but for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to focus on the main one. It's not really the spiciest, juiciest story. There's no massive, dramatic revelations. It's just a relatively chill story about two people in love. And also about working. Like, a lot about working, work culture, and both Yui and Masugu trying to achieve their career goals and motivating each other to do so. Of course, there's also a lot of fun and silly moments that come from when they're pretending to not be a couple in front of other people at work. Like at work, they're still pretending to be rivals, so they're all like, fuck you. And then the moment they get home, it's like, I would like to fuck you. But honestly, my favorite parts of the series come from when they're not pretending. Because, like I just mentioned, the portrayal of this relationship is as close to normal as it gets when it comes to anime and manga. These two are comfortable with each other. They talk openly, not just love talk, but about their goals in life, their passions, their insecurities. We get so much natural, down-to-earth conversations between these two whenever they're not pretending to be at each other's throats that I found really, really refreshing. And I think this all comes about because the depiction of this relationship is really balanced. This is a story that's told equally from the guy's perspective and the girl's perspective, or rather a lot more equally than like 90% of other romance shows out there. There's no like, oh, I'm this lame, self-insert, shy, introverted, bold-cut high school boy with no redeeming qualities, but then the girl I have a crush on is the most beautiful, smart, popular supermodel with the best personality. Oh my god, you're so hot, Chizuru, holy shit. It's just a lot more grounded. Both characters are pretty normal, they both look fairly normal, and they both have good qualities and bad qualities. You know, like fucking normal, average people. Now there is also the argument of, well, why would you watch a show where everything is normal? And my answer is, fuck you, I like slice of life. But the way that the show builds up...
石川先生を探しておる。
浜で討ち死にされたのでは。
生きておる。道場はどこだ？
森の先です。ご案内いたしましょう。ご出陣なさらなかったので？
そうだ。
戦の前日に村にいらっしゃったんですが、寡黙なご様子で。まあいつものことですけどね。先生の伝説はまことですかね？
伝説だと？
たった一本の矢で海賊の船を沈めたと。
まことだ。もっとも射抜いたのは船ではない。海賊の頭だ。
怒らせないよう
に後ろめたいことでも？
めっそうもございません。
では心配には及ばん。
道場はあの山の上にあります。
病になれば死ぬしかない。
助かった。ここまででよい。
あと一つお尋ねしても？先生はなぜ長尾家の指南役を退かれたのです？
さあわからんな。
いやいや、道場のために誇りある職を捨てちまうなんて。
石川先生の道場。いさかいがあったか調べてみよう。射抜かれた後に矢を抜いておる。これは血の跡。新しくはない。足跡だ。いたものかいられたものか。住居へ逃れられたのやも。武士にしては質素な祈り。
動くな。
石川先生。
酒井の跡取りか。生きておったとは。
菰田で待っておりました。
向かう途中で賊に襲われてな。
その賊を待ち構えていたと？
備えあれば憂いなしと言うだろう。志村殿も討ち死にか。良き男だったが。
無事です。しかし囚われの身に
望みはあるな。
実はその件で お力添えを。
できぬ。不肖の弟子に出奔されての。
手を貸しましょう。しかる後何卒ご助力
を。遅れを取るなよ。他に生き延びた者はおるか。
存じません。
では猛虎に手向かう者。
残念ながら他にはござらん。
なら探さねばな。二人では救出などおぼつかぬ。
お弟子殿の居場所は？
巴の行く先など知れておる。
巴？女子か。生まれは？最後にお会いしたのは確か10年前。
弟子志願だったな。
ご記憶とは？
門前払いした奴は忘れる。
なぜ私ではなく巴を弟子になさった？
お主は有望、巴は神道よ。
猛虎
殺す。
侍아가 같이
こやつら酔った狸だ。
だが菰田では負けました。
目覚めぬ虎なら狸にも劣る。巴の足跡だ。来い。中山砦が抜かれた。あの石膏が証拠だ。
砦は日吉の近く。
次は日吉が狙われるな。
争った跡が。
襲われたか調べる。
米と泡、手つかずだ。
不意を打たれたな。
矢筒があります。
わしが与えた開殿の証だ。
血の跡わずかだが。
死者はおらんな。どうなっておる？巴が矢筒を捨ておくとは。
敵から逃れるためか。
捕まったか。
では今頃
尋問か拷問、あるいは。
まさか叔父上も同じ目に。
恐怖は猛虎の武器。たじろげば奴らの思うつぼぞ。
お弟子はいずこにいると？
中山だ。砦は近い。わしが菰田におればな。
いらっしゃらずばこそ今共に戦える。
なぜ負けたかわかるか？
けだものには勝てません。
それは違うな。
この目で見たのです。
キューバの道は見るのみにあらず、心を研いで感じるものよ。ここで止まれ。話がある。
いかがなされた？
この弓は数年前に長尾殿から賜ったものだ。
結構な弓です。
そうであろうとも、増えての者がかような弓を引くなど考えるだに心が痛む。
それほどの品を私に？
早とちりをするでない。だがお主の腕次第で貸してやってもよい。戦の前に試しておくか。手前にある灯籠を狙ってみろ。的が遠ければ矢は落ちると教えたろう。 集中せんか。
今のは肩慣らし。
Throw that one.
よし、次は奥の灯籠だ。左だぞ。やはり早まったかの。
ご安心を。次は必ず。
さらに遠くの的ではどうかの。どう思った？
手に馴染みますな。
そうであろう。大事にすることだ。行くぞ。
この弓があれば菰田でも。
良き弓だが戦を決めるのは人だ。武具ではない。
猛虎の兵器は火を吹くのですぞ。
戦いはこれからよ。中山砦だ。
お弟子殿がいればよいが。
上からなら備えがよく見えよう。この辺りがよかろう。
私が入って門を開けます。あとは共に。
せいてはことを潜んじるという言葉があるぞ。
ではどうしろと。
まあ少し落ち着け。奴らは石膏を探しに兵を出すはずだ。門を開いた刹那に飛び込むぞ。
長引けばそれだけ巴殿が危うくなります。
心配は無用だ。戦場をよく見ろ。何か役に立つものはないか。
旧兵の数が多い。
だが腕前はわしらが勝る。
松明を撃ち落とせば火花が飛びましょ
う。火事を起こせるな。
樽で痛手を与えられるやも。
やる甲斐はあるの。
蜂の巣だ。いれば足止めになるやも。
針と矢で猛虎を穴だらけにする算段か。門が開いたら敵を引きつけろ。矢の雨を降らせてやろう。
しかる後に乗り込み巴殿を救う。
よし、あとは待つのみ。
門が開きます。
わしの合図を待て。まずだな。
中にも敵が。
すぐに消す。そして巴だ。
Relationship is by actually building up each individual person's life. For example, Yui in particular is shown struggling at work from time to time, trying to push her products out and failing, and still wanting to improve, and she ends up confiding in her boyfriend whenever things get tough, she's looking for more support. She doesn't need him or rely on him heavily to fix her problems for her because these problems are still her own. But he's there to be a source of confidence and support. These two are not individuals. Which I think is really helpful. It's not that they can't live without each other, but have each other. And now, one last sex is normal. You watching this video, they understand it because two people meet. The reality is, people fuck. Yes, even in Japan, birth rate is like 1.2, which is very low, but it's not zero. So when I say that the series is actually, you can bet your sleep will last 6 seconds. They obviously don't actually show it, but they do get pretty close. The sex in this show is great. It's just a big thing. It's not this overblown. They don't shy away. This, once again, makes it so refreshing. All the other shows that treat it like this crazy just like this in episode 6, Yui has a really tough day at work and just goes over to Masuru's place, and they just fuck, just to kind of help clear her mind. And then they have like this post-coital conversation afterwards where they just talk more about her day. It's not this huge emotional build-up leading to a big climax. It's just, fuck, I'm stressed. Let's fuck so I can be less stressed. In other words, this show has casual sex, which is why it's hot. It's pretty hot. Now, this show isn't even really a particularly standout anime. The reviews are okay. The voice acting and music are fine. The production is pretty average. The animation is just alright. Like, there's not really too much going. Like, there's no single point while watching this where I was like, oh shit, this is blowing my mind. It's fine. It's not Aki making coffee and shit, so I really need that. Shows like this aren't really meant to blow your mind. They're not really meant to keep you on the edge of your seat. They're just nice and watch. But yeah, the portrayal of the relationship is what stood out to me so much, and it's what kept me fan. That's all I've got. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of my completely original quiz, a brand new, never-before-seen game show format that in no way resembles any pre-existing game shows. I'm your host, Ken Jennings. I'm your host, Willie Osso, and I have with me today these three contestants from the Halo lore feed: Austin, Jumper Skate, Amy Shep, and Pete. Unfortunately, because Ken Shep's avatar is AI-generated, I was going to disqualify him because I did AI, but instead I opted for more ethically acceptable time-honored human artist tradition, tracing over the image. And I made Austin and Phoenix one too, so he didn't feel left out. What is this slime?
Just get about Jerry.
It's like he just wants something to smell like it.
No, I'm the one. Yeah, I'm the one who smells it. Jamie looks like he's been posting daily on some sort of social media platform for years. that is the look that comes across.
Gentlemen, are you ready to take my cock?
Coming on the case call.
Yes. Our categories today are spot the fake. These are several images where the character has been
Only
altered in a certain way.
a
Who's that? Be self-explanatory. I'll be doing it by the character. In
Tomoe
the
よ。
TV show, I'm
待て、こ
pretty sure that
れは
would be
トモエの
multiplayer
も
maps.
の。
These are images that represent
辺りを調べろ。
Give me the map's name. Action set.
もうこの矢ではない。
これは巴の矢だ。
確かですか。
鹿の角の矢はずはわしが教えた。海わしの矢羽もな。
弓を奪われたのでしょうか。
それにしては狙いが正確。もうこの兵なんぞにできぬ系統だ。
巴に弓を使わせたのか。巻物。猛虎の言葉で弓について書かれている。あなたの名もここに。
わしの教えを猛虎に売ったということか。誰かが住んでおったようだ。
女子の衣服。
巴のものだ。
釈放されていたのか。なぜだ。聞
こえたか。
島のものです。
寒い。
女を探しておる。弓取りだ。
俺と同じ檻にいた女です。でも奴は解放され弓を受け取ると女房を殺しやがって。他の奴らも。
あのムクロ。
己の腕を敵に売り込み寝返りをったか。
頼む。痛えよ。死にたくない。
長いは無用。行くぞ。殺しておれば
なんと
自由を得るため巴は敵についたのだ。
なぜそのような。先生。
わしが追い詰めたのだ。
追い詰めた。ご説明を。先生。お答えください。
わしを襲ったのは賊ではない。巴だ。
なぜ。
武士の本懐を理解しておらぬからだ。
あなたのせいで寝返ったのでは。
己に何がわかる。
本意をお聞かせください。
わしの弓術を猛虎に奪われるわけにはいかぬ。
ならば止めねば。
お主の助太刀はいらぬ。
いや、いるはずです。勝利は人がもたらすもの。武具にあらず。
お主も立派に育ったな。巴を仕留めるぞ。わしのやり方でな。
そして叔父上の救出にお力添えを。
ああ、約束しよう。手はずを整えておく。時が来たら 道場に来い。
我らだけでは勝てません。もっと味方を集めねば。
生きておるかは分からんが、足立政子殿を探せ。対馬随一の女武芸師。
ユナだ。
ジェン、待ってたよ。
一人で倒したのか。
来るなら早く来て。危うく死ぬところだったよ。猛虎が捕虜を連れて川上に向かったらしい。鍛冶屋を見たって人もいる。
弟か。
もしかしたらね。かねての入り江の近くに野営があるって聞いた。
場所ならわかる。
力を貸してくれる人は見つかった？
一人だけな。石川先生だ。
あの弓の名手もすごいね。後でタカも手伝ってくれるよ。ああ、もうすぐあの子に会えるんだね。
お主はいい姉だ。
そんなことない。
弟は何というかな。
あんたにも 兄弟はいるの？
俺の身内は叔父上だけだ。
助けた後はどうするの？
休みたい。叔父上がいらっしゃれば島は救われるからな。
そればっかりだね。
勝てるはずのない戦を制してきたお方だぞ。お主は弟を助けた後どうする？
実は考えてる暇はなかった。傷はどう？もう痛まない？
ほぼ治った。お主の手当てのおかげだ。
あんた心の内を明かさない男だね。
そう見えるかもな。武士ならば感情を御せと叔父上に言われた。幼い頃から受けてきた教えだ。
なんだか生きづらそうだ。
それがものの札。この先に川を見渡せる場所がある。
そこからなら野営がよく見えそうだ。あれが野営？入れそうにないな。
数日でしつらえたものならばどこかに隙間がある。探すぞ。
タカを助けなきゃ。敵に騒がれずに。
何か手があるはずだ。あの岩は登れそうだ。
足場が緩いと崩れる。気づかれるよ。
奥の守りは硬そうだ。正面の壁は出来上がっておらぬな。
隙間があるかも。正面の壁に隙間がありゃ中に忍び込める。
そして猛虎を全て切り伏せる。
もし手違いがあれば捕虜が殺されるよ。何度も見てきたんだ。忍び込むしか手はないからね。
まるで野党だ。
不満でもあるのかい？
この島はかつて賊がのさばっていた。しかし武士が乱を鎮め正義をもたらしたのだ。我らは誉れと共に生き、誉れのために身を捨てる。かつて我が父も平和のために命を捨てた。
私だって同じだよ。だけど今はやらなくっちゃ。
叔父上の教えに背くわけにはいかん。
今は目をつぶって家族を助けたいんだ。あんただってそうじゃないの？
近くに寄ってみよう。様子を探りたい。
それじゃ暗くなるまで待とう。
行くぞ。
タカは苦労してるんだ。猛虎が来る前から。
守ってやったのだな。
兄弟だからね。タカは盗みを嫌ったけど飢えて死ぬよりはマシだろ。やるしかなかった。
俺も武士になるほかなかった。だが教えに背くのはやはり
猛虎に殺されてた方が幸せだった。恨みを晴らしたいんだろう。なんだってやらなきゃ。
通るぞ。
That's a question. All right, Phoenix, Bonnie Raw. That's incorrect. It was Bonnie Raw.
蹴取られれば捕虜が殺される。
じゃあ音を立てずに喉をかっ切るしかないね。
お前はどう見る？
足を怪我しています。矢が当たりましたね。
手負いの熊は死に物狂いだ。抜かるでないぞ。
わかりました。
後を追うぞ。
この地に熊が出るなんて。
そうだな。戦火の槍川から逃げてきたのだろう。
謀反者のせいです。罰として熊の餌にしてやりましょう。
いやしきことを申すでない。
ここで倒れましたね。虫の息です。
ああ、すぐ近くにおるな。気を抜くなよ。
分かってます。とどめは私に刺させてください。
お前が感情を御せるのであれば、その後
いました。
夜な、生きておるやもしれん。この焼き傷では死なぬはず。
見てください。この傷の跡は矢ではありません。
四角槍川だ。
卑怯者、地頭様の背を狙うと。
酒井、怒りを抑えろ。人殺しになりたいか、こやつのように。我らは武士だ。
ですがお重よ、罪人はその命をもって償わせねば。
目をそらすな。怒りや恐れで人を殺めてはならん。誉れを胸に切れ。敵を前にして背を向けてはならぬ。命を奪う時も相手を見据えろ。情けと覚悟を持て。それが侍の姿だ。虚に乗ずるは臆病の印。
ジン、どうした？
タカを探そう。見つかるわけにはいかん。
五感を研ぎ澄まして頭の中まで野党になるんだ。
ユナ、あれを。
違う。タカじゃない。
そうか。
あった。檻だ。
タカか。
見に行こう。違う。タカじゃない。
よく中に入れたな。逃げるぞ。話は後だ。
行くよ。
川まで進むぞ。そこなら安全だ。お主は菅笠衆か。
かつてはな。あそこも飯に困ってきたから抜けてきた。
志村殿が捕まり、お助けするにも人手が足りぬ。手伝ってくれ。
無理だ。だが菅笠衆に聞いてみろ。筒の氷で猛虎を襲ってるって聞いた。岸平原の近くの海岸だ。
こっち。弟を探してるタカという刀鍛冶。
お前はない。だが多くが他へ移された。
捕虜が移されたって言ってね。どこだ。
麻布浦のどうとかって。そういえば鍛冶屋の男を見た。若くてヒゲの生えた槍川の出だったはずだ。
嘘じゃないだろうね。
鍛冶屋が見つかるといいな。
タカが麻布浦で生きてる。
壁で囲まれた村か。策もなく乗り込めば返り討ちに遭うだろう。
友人が手を貸してくれるかもしれない。
よかろう。まずはタカを救い、それから叔父上だ。
ジン、タカならどんな道具だってすぐに作ってくれる。でもその後二人で島を出たい。
もうこのことならば案ずるな。叔父上が止めてくださる。とどまり故郷のため戦え。
故郷は私とタカがいるところさ。友人は麻布の氷にいる。ツツとの境だ。
そこで落ち合おう。
楽じゃなかっただろう。教えに背くこと。
なすべきをなしたまで。
そっか。
志村、お主に労は似合わぬ。手向かわぬよう民に言い聞かせろ。さすれば縄を解いてやる。
己のざれ言は聞かん。殺せ。
全てを失ったつもりのようだが、おいはまだ生きておるぞ。我が勢が道を塞ぎ、村々の近くには野営を敷いた。全てを掌握している。おいもじき見つかろう。
堺は一生懸命に戦うはずだ。わしもな。
大事か。対馬の民はどうだ。お主は父も同然。我が子を見捨てるのは辛かろう。
己のしもべにはさせんぞ。
黄色のウグイスだ。あんな鳥は初めて見た。後を追ってみよう。
うん
見下ろせば息吹交わる秋の風。今こそ後の水上ならん。生き延びような。走れ、
Ja, das war okay, das ist ja aber. Mm. Mm.
いざ勝負。
Chances are, if you are an anime fan who enjoys watching anime YouTube content, you got this video recommended to you. The title is Ranking Literally Every Single Anime Oh, no, that is not the title anymore. They got changed. Now it's Ranking Literally Every Single Anime That I've Watched. That title change seems to be designed to avoid the egregious breaking of the YouTube guidelines. So I don't blame Kinbo Slice, the creator of the video, for changing it. If you're like me, you probably saw this title and thumbnail combination and saw through how blatantly misleading it was and decided to watch some other video. However, there are many, many others who decided to give it a shot despite how absurd it was. And well, people are not too happy with the video. There is a mountain of criticisms I've seen on Twitter, the comment section, and on TikTok, which piqued my curiosity. I decided to check out the video.
私の兄はお侍に憧れていて、竹の稽古台を作ってずっと市内を振り回してましたよ。
竹を切るか。腕を上げるのに良さそうだな。お主の兄と稽古したいものだ。
恐れながら兄はすでに病で。ですが、登りと稽古台を見るたびに兄を思い出します。
無念であったな。礼を言う。達者で。 罪のない連中を殺して食い物を奪っている。
And it's like Ubisoft's so great. Down this damn game. It's like Microsoft supports Palestinian genocide. What the?
よし。さら、さあ。
お侍様、ここを通ってはなりません。
武士と知っていながら俺を止めるのか。どういう要件だ。
私の役目は人事を守ること。この戦が終わった後、神のご加護を再び求めて、民が詣に来るときに鳥居がなくては困るでしょう。
今こそ加護がいる時だ。
そうですが、社への道は険しく、私も一度参ろうとしたところ、途中で死にかけました。
俺ならたどり着ける。木登りも崖登りも得意であったからな。
もし社まで行けましたら、島のためお祈りしてご符をお持ち帰りください。身につければ御身をお守りくださるはずです。
故郷のため役立てよう。助かった。
対馬にある鳥居は全て神の社へと通じています。ご符のそこで得られることでしょう。
誰が相手だ。 ここへ。
先日くるくると回る鳥の群れを見つけて不意に行ってみたんです。それは美しい場所で時が過ぎるのを忘れるほど眺めておりました。
そうしたひとときは救いになるな。我らのような武士も戦の前には景色を楽しみ和歌を読むことがある。
和歌には戦に向けて心身を整える効果があるとか本当でしょうか？
いかにも。だが武士でなくとも和歌は読めるぞ。
I covered how's it going, dude? So you're a big fan of trash. Can't stop thinking about it, can't stop watching it, can't stop eating it. When it comes to flat-out garbage, you're a big bad guy. If you have a problem, when you're out playing games, that could be how busy the world is nowadays, you really can't afford to take some time off. Luckily, you won't have to anymore with the hottest invention from the far-off future of 2003, Garbage the Game. Freaky! Game evaporating workers setting money on fire with the two teams together, and watch on in horror as one of them breaks forever. I mean, in terms of ideas, that's gotta be funny. Freaky is quite the legend around these parts, being one of the few games qualified for distinction and officially being voted as the worst board game of all time. This is sort of presentation by games. And I covered quite a few things in the segment. Gameplay, science, Dutch television program, and afterwards, I thought that would be the end of it. On like I've been trying to do. down on the event community. That will not let a big dog. My more investigative fans over on Discord began a search for more information on the game. Curiosity, intrigue, or maybe a calling. Explicit why they began to dig. And dig they digged until they came across the most arcane knowledge that had come across the line. In describing their findings, that never graced the hands of man, the Reiki file. And they about this game for 18 more pages. Thanks, guys! A massive shout out to Eddie Kenny, W. French, Ninja Watch Oakland, and everyone else. Yep, that's contained within the documents we made. Ladies and gentlemen, you better oh no! Not only are there no Reikis here, but since you're about to get a SIM card for this country, your roaming fees kicked in and drained you of every dime you've ever had. How does this keep happening to me? Luckily, Saley is here to prevent this confusion right from the start. Saley is an eSIM service that will allow you to connect to the local network of any country without the hassle of needing to find and install a different SIM card. Fraud twice, and I kid you not, the whole time I was petrified of using mobile data without thinking and instantly losing $20 to $30. So you know if I'm ever outside the old US of A again, I'm leaving that stress here with an eSIM my silky smooth brain can't misplace halfway through the trip. All you need to do is download the app, get a plan from one of the 190 countries and 8 regions, activate the eSIM, and you're good to go. Start with Saley before you leave and start your trip off stress-free. And get 15% off your Saley data plan by using code SAMSAM. Check it despise the
祈っております。
稲荷の神が守ってくだされ。俺が生まれた日、母上が蛍を追う狐を見たそうだ。
狐はお稲荷様のお使いと言われてますからね。見かけたら追いかけるのが基地でしょう。
そうしよう。では。
Adjacent options with them, such as including them in books, bags, or friends with $4. Cornflakes is part of a nationwide giveaway. What good would getting one gray key from a box of red cornflakes be? Try treating them as a coupon fare. For example, 10 specimens can be traded for a bottle of soft drink gray tube toothpaste. Do you have any idea what this means? If this happened, then this would have made the keys a legitimate backed currency. Now, granted, based on your standard soft drink price, these probably wouldn't be time keys. That does put the head of the Venezuelan gold. Gee, many freaking frosties. We are one file collection in and we're already nearly at max stupid. Where do we even go from here? Why, we leave the limitations of our physical world and enter the new possibilities presented by the digital era. We enter the online files. The online files are the smallest collection of free sub-files in here. Everything is just condensed.
Yeah.
While it might not be as big as the other collection, trust me, there is still plenty of stuff here that can rip your mind asunder. You there, I see you're about to throw away that perfectly fine break. Yeah, what else? Well, why didn't you scratch off that spot back there? Wow, it's a code! Yes, my boy, now put that code in the official game. I mean, behold, life after death. Yes, on each break, he came to code 15 to get that key onto your account, granting that key the ability to battle other online power. Does your break key believe in heaven? Unfortunately, with the website being obsolete, I cannot show you the full of it all. However, I can look that they were even so far as to just outright drive the game flag, right to the top of the very real online race leaderboard and other exclusive and the use prizes. That's being very important things like EA games. Gosh dang game. There's also a collaboration with the Flemish TV show Spring. Oh, finally, something relevant. One of these online contests. Winners could take home all kinds of fabulous prizes, such as a memory game, codes or something, DJs, mouse maps, fan books, letter paper, and a state-of-the-art reading as opposed to the widely popular watching book. All of these prizes were, of course, adorned with the famous cast and characters of the television program Spring, for all the die-hard Spring fans to enjoy. Confounded, I missed it by just 2 decades. There were also several wallpapers or screensavers that were created that you could download to make your computer background. So if any of you Spring fans missed out on the initial rollout, I put them full screen here for you to screenshot free of charge. I cannot express to you enough that this is your last chance. But with 2 of our collections now explored through and through, we only have one final group of findings to cover. A collection of information that is 6 times larger than the previous 2 files combined. The marketing file. Better strap yourselves in now, folks, because once we get this puppy started, there is no way to slow it down. We are locked in. The marketing files contain any and all information that could relate to getting the brand Gray Key out to the masses, as well as the laundry list of problems associated with that mission. If you're wondering how many problems this market could possibly cause, well, the lawsuits will bring back we touched on this a little bit in the original video. They took their imagery to tie in popular media to a really weird television program that was truly wonderful. And thank goodness for that, because after experiencing that madness, I don't know what I would do if there turned out to be a television program produced in an entirely different nation. Yes, unfortunately, from a mental state, there was another breaking show. This one featuring television legend Steve as the host, and goes by the title Breaking. This name comes from the fact that the show was not shaped with the product it was showing off like Can You Beat Me was, although the jury is still out on if they should have been. Amazingly, these two shows followed completely different structures with how they went about these breaking battles. In Can You Beat Me, the game would follow a single elimination bracket between 4 children, and whichever one survived the day final would not only win a Can You Beat Me t-shirt, but would also advance to the week final on Friday to win an even bigger prize. Unfortunately, we have no idea what this prize was, but I'm going to go ahead and say it was a 3-day, 2-night vacation in the beautiful faraway streets of scenic South Central Detroit. Meanwhile, in Break-Off, 2 teams of 2 would go against each other, aiming to break both of the other team's keys to secure the win. If they were skilled enough to manage that, they would get the chance to select one of 5 doors that contained prizes. 4 of them being just crap like boxes of break keys, but one of them containing the fabulous grand prize. Again, we don't know. Sunny, smiling South Central Detroit. If you picked crap on your selection, you could choose to come back the next day to play again with that door eliminated, running the risk of losing it all if you ended up losing. Oh no, not my breakies. The German website for the show also adds a little bit of world building to the program by saying that the competition is held inside of the Break-Off Dome. Quote, the Break-Off Dome is located in the Plaza Media Studios in Ismaning near Munich. This is where Premiere produces the Formula One live coverage and the UEFA Champions League broadcast, among others. The studios also produce well-known TV series such as Hausmeister Klaus and the Clutched Comedy Club. The butchering of the language is to wash away the sins of the program. The Dutch remain unforgiven. Unbelievably, the mad lads that put these files together actually managed to follow the corporate ladder all the way to the companies that might be in possession of these shows today and emailed them to see if they could get any more footage. And here's how that went. Fox spit back some corpo speak that roughly translates to screw off. RTL Zwei, who produced the German show, replied back saying that most old programs and shows can't be aired anymore due to licensing issues and that they no longer provide show fragments for personal use. And Talpa, the streaming platform that succeeded the Dutch network, said that they are sorry to disappoint, but that they don't have any digital footage of the program since it was from before they acquired KIJK and it was not transferred over, even including a sad face to show their sadness at the situation. Alright, Dutch people, this person was nice enough that you are hereby forgiven for the show, but don't do it again. There's the full story of all we know about these shows. Call to action, lost
It's not going to slow down. It's time for
These are not to be the key masters are regional. Crazily, there was also some of this hot tour action going on in the States later, as one of our Discord members actually remembers attending one of these events at his local Tours R Us, where his friend ended up winning a GameCube, automatically elevating his kid in that rebound. To go on tour with tournaments when we could be going on tour with music. Upper Deck, in the most eggs-in-one-basket marketing play I've ever seen, nearly did not sign a deal unnamed group from Orlando in exchange for that about Reiki. Reporting that the agreement was in the process of eventually fell through, which I wouldn't trust. Anyway, as all said and done, we took the getting back to that that almost gave us well, 8 years ago. Yeah. But why stop at a tie-in with one of the most street boys? Could you even imagine? Am I breakable? Yeah. But why stop at a tie-in with one of the most popular boy bands of all time? There are so many other properties to be harvested. Licensing time. Reiki was very much interested in their band. Property, Snake, can we borrow yours? Style, licensing. Slapping that one guy / thing all over those bad boys in a desperate attempt to stop you from thinking about the actual game. We've got it all. We've got Major League Baseball, we've got Metabots, we've got Suske and Whiske, we've got the hit television program Spring, epic German one. Come on, man. Amazingly, other tie-ins were planned for other properties to join in on the fun that never ended up happening. From fictional creations like Marvel and Pokemon to more professional sports like the NHL and the NFL. Man, now I'll never get my fun pepper free. And that's it. No more stupid marketing business. Come on. Some kind of preparation for what I was just looking at. Luckily, we have just that, as it's now time to watch this entire operation crash and burn through the lens of the 3 different lawsuits that killed this crap for the good of everyone, not the Lloyd Company. There are 3 lawsuits on offer here, pertaining to that alleged Backstreet Boys fiasco. In the net, this excited. Upper Deck contacted Buzz Marketing in January 2003 during their search for marketing firms to help with marketing the launch of Reiki. Upper Deck's then Vice President of Sales, I kid you not,
大変です。日吉の湯につながる橋が猛虎に奪われました。
往来の多い橋を奪えば日吉を攻めやすいからな。よし、様子を見に行こう。
ありがとうございます。
タッチを抜け。
Put us in Basante!
さあ来い。
お前を食っても自慢にもなりやしねえ。
Marketing CEO Mark Hughes at an exhibition in New York in February 2003. After some discussion, Rich Henry asked Hughes to prepare a proposal for Upper Deck to evaluate. 5 proposals were sent from March to mid-April. There was 4 being rejected by Upper Deck, but the 5th one containing an idea so revolutionary that they simply could not refuse. The 5th and final proposal outlined a domestic marketing campaign in which a popular music group would be paid to endorse the product. And on the 14th of May, Rich Henry and Hughes had a phone call in which they discussed that 5th proposal. After this call, an amended version of the 5th proposal was sent to Upper Deck, along with a request for a $122,000 wire transfer. Whatever amount of money you think this thing lost, double it and take it from the next project. 16 days later, on the 30th of May, Upper Deck's marketing manager phoned Hughes to say that she would call him when the 122 bandos was going to be wired. Also on that same day, the marketing director, quote, left a voicemail for Hughes stating,
First try. First try.
receiving time frames on Monday or Tuesday of the following week. Now, this isn't mentioned anywhere in the doc, but common sense would dictate that after hearing this news, Hughes immediately went, "Oh, yeah." After this, the article fiasco happened with that entire thing and more. And then on the 2nd of June, Upper Deck sent Hughes another revised edition of the 5th proposal. And then on the next day of the 3rd of June, Hughes sent Upper Deck more revisions of the 5th proposal. Later the same day, Upper Deck responded with yet more revisions to the 5th proposal. 8 days later, on the 11th of June 2003, Rich Henry called Hughes to inform him that Upper Deck would not be launching the breaking product and therefore Buzz Marketing Services would not be needed. Imagine, 122 bandos. Gone. Henry also requested an itemized list of Buzz Marketing's cost reimbursement, which Buzz Marketing submitted, but Upper Deck never paid, so now it's lawsuit time. We've got quite the match here on our hands, ladies and gentlemen, as Buzz Marketing is coming in with a 4-pronged attack. We've got breach of written contract, breach of oral contract, breach of implied in fact contract, and unjust enrichment / quantum merit. Let's see how they did. Parts 1, 3, and 4 were all thrown out immediately as there was never a written contract. Both evidence were applied in fact was used as hearsay, and they just immediately gave up on their own.
人との交わりが増えてて
They did still have their
友と
second
呼べる
option
の
though,
は
and
千
you
両
only
と
need to
果て
win
と
one. So let's
漆と布くらいですですが上学の雪のごとく美しい白に染め上げることができます。十分な素材をお持ちくださればあなた様の表具を冬の神のごとく白く染めましょう。十分な素材がなければ美しい白い色を出せません。私の染め物を身につけてください。
Reach a portal was cracked open. According to Bud's marketing,
お前を殺せば名を残す
however, Facebook is president of the language that suits the intent of modifications to the biblical. Just that they're in other words, their script is so in the end, summary judgment upper case was closed, and they started off 1-0 in the civil court. But that was really more of a warm-up round. Heck, the opposition even their own claims. The next bout is not going to be as easy, but now we have entered the main event and the biggest reason as to why this product line ever died off in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Upper Deck Company versus Gray Key International, Southern District Court of New York. As a background, the ferocious Gray Key marketing and even the keys themselves completely vanished out of nowhere sometime in the second half of 2004, followed by their various websites in early 2005. This rapturous event of the entire Gray Key brand was seemingly kicked off by one minor miscommunication between Upper Deck and Gray Key International that eventually led to the lawsuit that killed the entire idea. So let's see for ourselves what exactly happened here. In July 2002, Ken Ross from Gray Key contacted Richard McWilliam from Upper Deck to propose a cooperation between the two companies with regards to the new Gray Key game. A few samples of these keys were sent over, and much later, on the 15th of November 2002, both companies came together and signed the updated Gray Key license agreement. So Upper Deck didn't even create the Gray Key line. Somebody else made this garbage on their own, showed it to Upper Deck, and they went, "What a great idea!" and just started throwing money at it. Part of this agreement was that Gray Key would help Upper Deck create a website for the online portion, which is going to become very important soon. Now, ready yourselves for this one, folks. Upper Deck agreed to pay Breaky $5 million in non-returnable minimum guarantees to cover royalties from the sale. $5 million fully guaranteed. Kirk Cousins type guaranteed money on a bunch of plastic keys. This was to be paid in two parts, one immediately at the execution of the agreement and one at the beginning of the second term year on November 15, 2003. Upper Deck paid the first $2.5 million, and Breaky provided the source code for the website and it says $2.5 million up front for the right to sell this. What a steal!
この近くに役立つものはないか。
残念ながらですが神社をお参りすれば手を差し伸べてくれるはず。鳥居を見つけて社まで進めば何かいただけるかも。
神の加護を受けた護符があるとぜひ手に入れたいものだ。
Guys, I don't think you get it. More guaranteed money! Upper Deck disagreed with this shakedown, and on the 13th of November, 2 days before their next payment was due, they decided, yeah, I think we're gonna sue you now? Breaky went, oh, that sounds like a great idea, we'll do it right back. So with our wacky cast of characters and their motivations established, let me amend it. So they gave for the right to sell this. What a steal! After sending $2.5 million their way, it was smooth sailing. But by early 2003, Upper Deck began to find many problems with that source code. In a meeting in May of that year, Upper Deck informed Breaky of this and said that the agreement had to be amended. They gave them this revised agreement, but Breaky demanded that the $5 million total had to be increased. Guys, I don't think you get it. More guaranteed money! Upper Deck disagreed with this shakedown, and on the 13th of November, 2 days before their next payment was due, they decided, yeah, I think we're gonna sue you now? And Breaky went, oh, that sounds like a great idea, we'll do it right back. So with our wacky cast of characters and their motivations established, let's go ahead and jump right into the battle. Upper Deck learned that it is not wise to spread yourself thin like Buzz Media did, so they are only going in with one devastating attack, breach of contract. As it had reached the date where Upper Deck owed the other half of their fully guaranteed money, Upper Deck had to pay Breaky $2.5 million, but refused to do so because it argued that the source code that Breaky provided for the Breaky.nl website was not sufficient to host an online competition with a lot of different users in multiple different languages. Breaky then shot back and argued that it was just there to provide the source code and was never required to make sure it fulfilled those requirements. Your Honor, we're just here to provide the code. We were never contractually obligated to prove that it actually worked. Breaky moved for a summary judgment to dismiss the lawsuit, but was denied. After this, literally nothing happens. The lawsuit just ends here, so I think this was just to determine whether or not the case would be thrown out. It wasn't, so with neither company really winning here, we're just gonna call this one a draw. What now?
教えを授けてくださった生涯一の恩人失うわけにはいかん決して ふぬけばかりか。待たせてしまったな。
コモダを生き延びたなんて信じられません。ありがとうございました。
行け、達者でな。
どうかお受け取りください。
これからも頼む。
Collection of Kunna!
It's time to hit the real deal. The big kahuna, the one and only, the finale of all finales. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Upper Deck Company versus Breaky International 2 of the District Court of New York. This matchup is the culmination of everything we have seen so far, giving us what both sides are competing for, their evidence and thought processes, and all of the information surrounding Breaky's rise and fall. So let's go ahead and start back at the beginning. The Breaky IP consists of two products, the actual small plastic keys and the online game called Breaky. In the contract released in 2002, Breaky granted Upper Deck an exclusive 2-year license to use, distribute, market, and sell the Breaky product worldwide, excluding Upper Deck EU and Japan collectively called it on May 2003 and all other territories by November. This is the full background. If they want to sell it, Breaky gives them permission and in return gives royalties for each sale. Upper Deck does all the work for them, they still get paid a little bit, but Upper Deck has to follow some rules. For example, Upper Deck had to spend a minimum of $1 million on marketing and advertising for each of the 2 years in each of the 3 territories. For a total of $6 million, may I remind you, spent advertising small plastic keys that break forever the first time they lose. In addition to that, they have to give Breaky 10% of all net sales with a minimum of $2.5 million, which is the non-returnable minimum guarantee that was mentioned earlier. So basically, if the Breakies take off and become the next Beanie Babies, Breaky International makes a frankly stupid amount of money. But if the product flops and sells nothing, they still get $2.5 million. They quite literally cannot lose. Now, there was a reason as to why Upper Deck wasn't allowed to sell in the Benelux countries, because Breaky already had another company, Studio 100, selling the keys in that area. I guess everybody's just lining up to license these things. Studio 100 was the exclusive distributor for Breaky in Benelux. It bought 15,000 boxes of the Breaky product and then sold them from December 2003 until May 2004, before terminating the agreement in June of that year, probably when they realized that this might be just a little bit ridiculous. Now, we need to do a quick rapid fire of information before we move on, or else you're going to lose a lot of context. Breaky believes that the wholesale revenue of Breakies are between $29 and $54 per box. Wow, that is a complete rip-off. Screw you, buddy. The Breakies were produced in China, which explains the Chinese patent that was in the physical files. And lastly, the Studio 100 boxes were delivered in December 2003 and stopped being sold in early June. Got all that? Alright, back to the action. According to the managing director of Breaky, Studio 100 reported that they had sold 70% of the inventory after 3 months. He was also informed by Studio 100 that they believed all 15,000 boxes were sold, but were not certain as the keys were sold in a joint venture. In other words, they sold out. Belgium, you have 15 seconds to explain yourself. Now, the rest of the info mainly deals with this Stewart guy and his sales projections figures, and we'll take a look at those later. For now, let's finish this up with the fact that after the fallout of Upper Deck and Breaky around November of 03, Breaky was in talks with another licensee in June of 04, I guess to run it back? Also, the fact that Breaky is trying to receive an unspent amount of the minimum of $6 million Upper Deck was required to spend suggests that the budget they had used was less than $6 million. Whew, thank goodness. They only spent slightly less than $6 million on marketing. For a second there, I thought we might have just wasted a ton of money. And that's it. We finally have all of the necessary background information to understand what in the world is going on here. So let's go ahead and jump back into this bad boy to see which of these two jokers is going to come out on top. Upper Deck. Sewer, looking to have Breaky hit with the breach of contract penalty so that it does not have to pay the $2.5 million of guaranteed money. Breaky International. Sui, countering for that $2.5 million of guaranteed money as well as more cash on top of that in the form of 1. Lost royalties in the second year of the agreement. 2. Lost royalties beyond the term of agreement. And 3. Breaky's claim for $6 million in unspent advertising dollars. We've got quite a lot of time here. The outcome. On October 13th, after oral arguments that we said we get final results of, the courts awarded the summary judgment in favor of Breaky, deciding that Upper Deck was the one who broke the agreement by not paying them the $2.5 million of more guaranteed money. I imagine the decision went something like, so the money was guaranteed. Yes, guaranteed, but they should get it. They failed to give the website international tournament functionality. Was that required from the contract terms? No. No, get out of here. Yeah, so having to pay the money they themselves fully guaranteed, big loss for Upper Deck there. But just how big could this loss get, as they stood to lose way more dosh if even a single one of Breaky's countersuits ended up hitting? We'll tackle these in order of least to most devastating, starting off surprisingly with Breaky's claim for $6 million of unspent advertising. Breaky argued that they were entitled to the remaining amount of the money that was supposed to be spent in that $6 million advertising budget Upper Deck was required to use, which would have granted them a solid total of however much was left. Yeah, a concrete number for this remaining amount was not given, and if how much is left over seems like an important number to know, it is claim denied. Next up, lost royalties in the second year of the agreement. This is where we meet the main character of this segment. Breaky hired economist Marion B. Stewart, who comes in and just really hammers home what we've been dealing with here. Breaky brought Stewart in to show that Upper Deck's failures in that second term caused Breaky to lose out on $9.4 million in royalties. So Upper Deck, per their agreement, should have to pay an additional $6.9 million on top of the $2.5 guarantee. How did Stewart arrive at this number? Well, this was calculated using the sale of the 15,000 boxes from Studios 100. That agreement only lasted half a year, so therefore the figure was doubled to get 30,000 and multiplied that by $32, gotten from a combination of a sales report by a Spanish company called Deset from 2002, which Breaky never contacted, a discussion about Breaky's sales in the Netherlands, and 3 Upper Deck documents. Stewart concluded that Breaky lost at least $8 million in royalties in the Imperial territory. And this was combined with a similar analysis in 13 other countries with, quote, per capita income levels and rates of interest use at least as